And we are back.
Quiet Quitters.
Another Quiet Quitters,
Quiet
man.
Quitters, episode 3.
Episode 3, dude. Another episode, man. Yeah, we're doing it, dude.
Literally.
Yeah.
We're not doing it.
No, we're doing it. Yeah. This is our 3rd episode. We're in the thick of it now at this point, you know. I'll tell you what I've been thinking about this week.
Yes.
Let's dive right in. I'm going for Israel. I'm the Israel Hamas. I'm on Team Israel, and not just because it's cool. Not
Okay.
because of I'm a comedian and I have a lot of Jewish friends. It's I do have a lot of Jewish friends, but it's not because of that. It's not anything.
Okay.
It's not anything. I'm looking out for myself here, and I'll tell you why. I am rooting for. It's not about how many people each side kills to me. It's not about that. I'm rooting for whichever side does the least beheadings. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing whichever side. Right now, Israel has done the least beheadings, and because I think that, from what I understand right now, Hamas wants to kill all of the Jews, which I don't want to happen. But I also think that after they're done with that, I don't think they're gonna like me. I think I'm gonna be next in line. I'm a shit talker. So if they come up to me and they say, "Hey, do you believe in Allah and is Muhammad his one prophet?" I'm gonna say no, and then I might get beheaded. And so that's a thing that I go with whoever beheads less. I feel that's the right way to move forward in society.
Yeah, we really jumped into it.
Yeah, that's it. Well, it's like the thing. It's like the World War III is upon us in that way.
I was preparing. I was preparing to talk about my going home to visit my mother.
Oh yeah, well, there are families in crisis.
Speaking of beheadings
in the Middle East, there are families in crisis
Yes.
in the Middle East, and I am going with the side that does less behead. And that's not. It's kind of like a weird thing. Like lately in the media, there's like a lot of people that are like empathizing with Palestine, which I don't understand at all. And the reason I don't understand it is, I feel like those people definitely in Palestine, I feel like they definitely support Hamas. And the reason I say that is this is, let's say I live in a neighborhood here in the United States, and at the end of my block, the Hells Angels are like stockpiling weapons because they're going to go murder some group of people. They're stockpiling weapons.
Did you say the Hells Angels?
Yeah, some gang, because Hamas is a gang. You know what I mean? So let's say the Hells Angels is on my block. I'm in Minnesota, someplace like that. The Hells Angels are on my block, and they're stockpiling weapons. I can't. It's my responsibility to go to the authorities and rat out the neighborhood gang. It's not my responsibility to root for the neighborhood gang and then be surprised when people show up in my neighborhood guns ablazing. That's That's not. You can't do that whatsoever.
I understand what you're saying there.
Yeah.
I will say, if we were in a court of law, and I'm not trained, I've only seen shows.
Yeah.
But somebody could object to you as being, speculation.
Okay.
Like, objection, Your Honor, speculation.
Okay.
Because you're just speculating on what you think, right? Because you said you feel.
Well, I will say this. Here's the other thing that I know. There are certain countries in the Middle East, like Egypt and Saudi Arabia, that recently, as of a few weeks ago, as you know, I love The Economist. As of a few weeks ago,
Are we sponsored by The Economist?
We're not sponsored yet,
okay.
but yeah.
How long have you been a subscriber to The Economist?
Long time now, years. Yeah, years. Yeah, they might own.
Not
Yeah.
That's paid his dues.
I have,
Economist.
and all of this is because of you, Economist. So I feel, and being like I said,
Yeah.
a couple weeks ago they had something called the Abrahamic Accords. It's named after Abraham because both Muslims,
Father Abraham had many sons.
both Muslims and Jews like Abraham. So it's the Abrahamic Accords. And it was Israel was sitting down with Egypt and Saudi Arabia, those two key countries, because those are like two of the biggest, and they were negotiating this peace, because there's this idea that most Muslims are preaching tolerance now. They're like, okay, they're like, let's make good with our neighbors. That's what a lot of them are doing. But you get these groups, most notably Hamas in Palestine and Hezbollah in Lebanon. And then not the Iranian people, not the Persian people, but the people who are really being held hostage are the people of Iran, because their government is like a religious government. And you're seeing with women that are no longer wearing the headscarves over there. Like that's a big thing where women just started not wearing the headscarves anymore in Iran in order to fight against the government. Like they're very oppressed by their government in that way. But what I'm getting at is that people in Palestine, man, here's my point. In Palestine, you should leave if you're Palestinian and you don't like the fact that you have a terrorist government. Do you get what I'm saying? Like if my neighborhood is overrun by gangs, it's time for me to leave, alert the authorities, let the authorities fight it out, and then come back and rebuild afterwards and kind of have it noted, basically. The idea of like staying there in a gang-ridden area, and a lot of people are like, oh, I think they have to stay there. I don't think they do. I think if you actively go up to like an Israeli soldier there and go like, hey, man, I know where Hamas is stockpiling weapons. I know things that are being planned, things that are about to happen. What I'm asking is that you get me and my family out right now, and I will tell you all about that stuff. I'm almost 90% certain they go, yeah, sounds like a good deal. You know what I mean? Like, let's talk this out, basically. Because here's the thing. I think they have a right to some of that land, of course, the Palestinian people, of course. But what I also think is that Jewish people do want them to leave. So even if you're leaving in the short term to avoid the gang wars, they're going to help you. Jewish people want Palestinian people to leave that land because they're scared of them. And so if you come up and you say, hey, me and my family, we're going to go. The Hamas depends on numbers. They depend on civilians being here in order so that you won't kill civilians. I want everyone to leave but Hamas so you can run Hamas out, and then I'll come back. And the Israeli government is going to go, sounds like a good plan, man. Like, thank you for helping us. This is awesome. But the fact of the matter is that it's a right-wing cultish group of people in that way. It's a large group of people that through things like nationalism and religion, stuff like that. I grew up in a right-wing Catholic family myself. It happens where people get brainwashed. They really do. And I do think probably those who have woken up in Palestine have done what I just said and tried to leave and everything like that and said, hey, I'll come back after everything has changed. But it's wild to think about that. And it's possible there's just a whole group of people where the majority of people really want like Israel wiped off the face of the earth. And it's 2 million people, and it's just the size of Philadelphia. The whole area is just the size of Philadelphia. Isn't that wild? You know what I mean? It's reasonable to believe that a whole group of people are almost acting as religious zealots in that way. Because like I said, man, if that was in my neighborhood, I'd get the fuck out. I really would. The only reason you stay is if it's like, yo, I'm a part of this cult, basically, in my mind. What are your thoughts on all that?
Well, here's what I think.
Okay,
I feel that this is what this show is all about.
Okay.
In that the aspect of quietly quitting is an awakening.
Yes.
An awakening in that I don't need to engage in like a discussion that if I don't engage in a discussion that I'm let's say unqualified.
Yeah,
I don't live over there, nor have I grown up over there. I grew up in the suburbs.
Yeah.
Middle class, never was persecuted. You know, I live in New York now. I have a job. You know.
No, I totally understand that. I totally understand that. I guess just.
But so what I'm saying is,
Yeah.
like, I think your points are well thought out.
Yeah.
I think you're highly intelligent. But there's an aspect of thinking like, do we just bounce from popular crisis to popular crisis?
Oh, totally.
And let everybody know our understanding of it.
Well, there's other things at stake, and I'll tell you, it seems to be there's like this new awakening of anti-Semitism that's happening, and we do. I do have a lot of Jewish friends. I live in New York City, which has the largest Jewish diaspora in the world. So you know, it's if there's terrorist attacks being taken out on Jewish people in Israel, literally the first biggest diaspora outside of Israel is New York City. You know what I mean? So it does become a local terrorist threat in that way here, in the sense that that this is the biggest diaspora of Jewish people. Also, I often think about stuff like this. This is a weird fact that I know, but it's very true. In almost all Middle Eastern countries, not only is gay marriage illegal, but also you can get murdered for being an open gay person in most Middle Eastern countries. You can literally get murdered for that. In Tel Aviv, Israel is the one place where open gay people can be in the Middle East. Literally the one place. And it's kind of a wild thing. Gay people from Saudi Arabia, from Lebanon, from Egypt, from all these other countries, they will flee to Tel Aviv in order to stay close to their families in their neighboring countries, but also to live as an open gay person. Not just that, in Israel, gay marriage isn't legal in Israel, but they have an agreement with the United States where if a gay couple meets in Israel and flies to the United States, if a gay couple that's at least I guess one of them would have to be a citizen in Israel. But here's my point: is they can fly to the United States, get married in the United States, fly back to Israel, and Israel has to recognize their marriage. It's an agreement that Israel has with the United States. And so what I'm saying is like literally when I look at these things and you go, okay, there's 2 million people in Palestine. I go, yeah, it's totally it's bad for people like that to suffer, totally. But there's way more than 2 million gay people in the Middle East. And they're all living at the threat of death every single solitary day. And there's one outpost for them where they can go and be safe, and that is literally Tel Aviv, Israel. And so when you talk about like what Israel is doing for the world, it's so much good. And so when I see this like anti-Semitism and these people basically turning and going like, oh, we need to have empathy for a terrorist group that's beheading people, I'm like, yo, man, how did we get to that? How did we like start to have empathy for Al Qaeda?
Well, let me ask you this.
You know what I mean?
That's a good question. How many Palestinians do you know?
I don't know any Palestinians. I have an Iranian friend. No. I've met them doing stand up, but I don't have any Palestinian friends.
So you're coming at this one-sided?
I'm coming at this from the idea that one side is beheading people.
I made my choice
based on
not knowing any Palestinians.
But based on the beheadings. That's kind of like,
and that's why I think quiet quitting is important.
That's true.
Because it's like, you know, am I talking to a guy that doesn't know any Palestinians? And like, you know, I see you can make the argument where it's like let's take white supremacists, right?
Yeah.
And you say, well, do I have to know any white supremacists to know I don't like white supremacy? No.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
But
I don't like beheadings in that same way, I feel.
Right, but you know, again, I don't know anything, but it seems that if somebody's coming at you with a agreement where they only know one side and you don't know any Palestinians.
I don't know any Palestinians directly, but I guess I know the politics of the situation.
I worked with a Palestinian.
Well, I'm sure they're wonderful people. I'm sure they're wonderful people on a one-on-one engagement. But I guess for whatever reason, and since you worked with Palestinians, probably someone who escaped is my point. It's probably someone who got out and was like, yeah, man, like it's not free over there.
I think though, what I think the reason for quiet quitting is a lot of people don't know what they're talking about.
It's true. Yeah.
You know what I mean? a lot of people have some really strong arguments, but it's generated from not a holistic scene. It's from their take based on their experience.
Well,
and so like the quiet quitting is like, cool, man. Thanks for your take on whatever the fuck. But like in my mind, as I've walked these streets, I'm like, I don't think they have any idea what they're talking about. You know, they may know one aspect of it or one side, but like who in, you know, like if you don't live in Gaza, like, you know what I mean?
Well,
because like, look, if somebody talked to you, let's say about comedy.
I feel bad. I think there's a lot of propaganda that gets put to the people in Palestine in that way. So they're victims of this propaganda, of course. But I do think a dangerous ideology has taken hold there if they're chopping off people's heads and if people are celebrating that. You know,
But isn't that also like, aren't there many crises going on all around the world where like people are dying because people in power are not being morally sound actors?
I guess like, just once people are getting murdered. So once
but people are getting murdered everywhere, and murder can have many.
Yeah,
you know.
But like I said, so this one in particular, though, because I live in New York City. And like I said, we have the largest Jewish diaspora in the whole world. It like kind of is like, I don't want to be given a walking tour and have somebody come up with a gun and just gun down my walking tour.
Understood.
Yeah.
But also
so it's like whenever people are extremists like that, I got to go, okay, like even though Israel has the bigger muscle, they are the one.
Nobody likes an extremist.
Yeah.
But like what I'm saying is, so you take New York. So maybe people aren't officially being murdered, but there are people on the streets that aren't doing so well, right?
Yeah.
And how did that happen? And maybe they're not like being murdered, but like a person that has to like, you know, and maybe it's, if you want to talk about like running a restaurant or like I've got experience, or if you want to talk about doing open mic comedy, I've got experience, but like there's people dying on the streets in New York, and it looks like it's mental illness. It looks like there's a lack of support. And, you know, like why, like I feel like I live where I kind of just ignore it. You know what I mean? Like I'll go to work and I see, you know, either people on heroin or fucking, you know, homeless people, and I just kind of keep going.
Yeah.
Which is like,
so you think people in Palestine are seeing terrorist groups organized and they just kind of keep going? In my mind,
it's not that.
It's like that's a little much.
No, it's not anything to do with Palestine.
Oh, got it.
Or Israel.
Yeah.
It's what's going on in my yard right now,
in front of me. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And why? And that is something I think about. Like, status quo is just to ignore homeless.
Yes.
In New York City, which is like a very
I do it all
wealthy
the time.
city.
I ignore homeless people all the time. Yes.
Yeah,
100%,
like
100%.
Ignore. And when did that happen to me? And I guess when I grew up, there was like one homeless person.
Yeah.
You know, because I grew up in the suburbs, in a middle class suburb, right? And there was like one person down by the fucking behind the Vons.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And but New York, you're like, you know, they're on my stoop, they're on the train, they're outside of work, and so it's like, I don't know. I wonder like what happened to me where I was like, sheesh.
You know what happened?
Good luck with all that, guys. You know, like, you know what I mean?
A couple of things happened to me. One time, a few things happened to me. One time I became friends with a homeless guy. And And I started actually like taking him out to like just lunches and stuff like once a week.
Wow, that's fucking huge.
Yeah, it was actually
That's amazing. You're like a good Samaritan.
Well, so I did this for a while. This guy.
What made now? Is it just decency that made you want to do it, or
long story short, when I was living in lockdown, I was living with my girlfriend at the time, and what happened is we befriended this homeless guy who was in a shelter near our place.
are you telling me your heart was awakened at another human being suffering?
So we
And
befriended
you
this
felt
homeless
pulled
guy
to do something.
We befriended this
about it?
homeless guy, and then me and my girlfriend ended up breaking up. And in an effort to get my girlfriend back, I started taking this homeless guy out to lunch every single week. Swear to God. So yeah.
Dude, I used to work with at-risk youth chicks, or at-risk, not chicks, at-risk youth kids.
Yeah.
And it was all a ploy to hook up with this girl who became my girlfriend.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, I really want to get her back, and so I took this guy out to lunch a lot. And,
Okay.
And he was always just so angry and embittered.
Were you like documenting it so she could see it, or how are you?
Well, so he would always email these emails out to groups of people, and it would be me and her on the email, right? And it would be there'd be other people too. There'd be other people too, yeah.
But you were no longer
he
together.
was like kind of like reaching out to.
But she knew Joe was still in the mix.
Yeah, and so I kind of wanted to just from a distance, just be a good guy in that way and help out this guy. I thought, it's kind of it's kind of romantic. Maybe it'll come back around and stuff like that in that way.
But part of it, you were doing good, which is great.
But it was selfish in that way. Yeah.
Well, whatever, dude.
Yeah.
Doing good is doing good.
Yeah.
Whether it's, I mean, I think that
I've befriended other homeless people in the past. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Even in other times in my life, even when it wasn't when there wasn't a relationship involved, when there wasn't this want for a girlfriend, in other times in my life, I have just befriended random homeless people that have lived in my area and always given them money.
That's
and stuff
amazing.
like that. You know what I mean? Just always. There's this guy when I was in my early 20s. His name was Frank, and it started when I was a teenager. There's this guy in Enfield, Connecticut, who was this homeless guy outside of the Barnes and Nobles. Not when I was a teenager, in college, and I was first living at home with my parents. I used to volunteer doing homeless stuff at feeding the homeless at USC and at Franciscan, my undergrad and stuff like that. So my experience, but it really wasn't until I started eating lunches with this homeless guy. Okay, so I would always like talk with homeless people and give them money and stuff like that, right? No, actually, this was the second time I tried to rehabilitate a homeless guy. The first time was this guy Frankie out in Hoboken years ago. I literally brought him to go to a place to try to get help, and he refused to go in because he was scared of like society and stuff. You know what I mean? So he just refused to go in. And I went in. They knew who he was. They were like, I don't want to say his last name, but they were like, Frank, this, and I'm like, yeah. And they're like, yeah. They're like, we know who he is. He has to come in here sober if he wants help. And I'm like, oh well, he's not going to get sober. Like that he's drunk every day. And they're like, yeah, we can't help him, and so it's this weird back and forth in that way. You know what I mean? Really, if you're obnoxiously drunk all the time, people can't really help you.
It can be a burden for others.
Yeah. So this other guy that I figured out, this might sound crazy. Okay.
We're talking.
He's a good guy. This guy named Andre, who is this, and this is a weird thing that I'm about to say, but it's very, very true.
Yes.
He would write emails to the city all the time complaining about the homeless system. And what I figured out in dealing with him after a while and having lunches with him is he identified with being homeless. I know that sounds like a crazy thing to say, but he was like a professional homeless person. It's like he was like concerned.
He's a representative of the homeless community.
Yeah. So
why is that crazy?
Well, because most people want to just get out of being homeless. He was like literally trying to improve his life by improving the homeless situation. And I'm like, oh man, you should just not be homeless. Like, you know what I mean? You should just get out of homelessness. And he's like, no, the city should just give homeless people like free apartments and free everything. I'm like, oh man, I don't think that's how life works, Like, so I kind of guess, and so in that way, nice guy in that way, but in that way, I kind of realized, I'm like, oh, this guy doesn't really want help. Like, I know that sounds like a crazy thing. He just wants the system. He doesn't want help in not being homeless. I don't know, and I kind of stopped eating lunches with him because that weirded me out.
You thought he was a taker?
well, I still give money to homeless people and stuff, but that whole mentality. Man, he would like read books on homelessness all the time. Like he would sit in cafes and be homeless and read books on homelessness. And it's like, in a weird way, it's like, dude, this isn't a lifestyle, man. This isn't like this isn't you bowling or you being a stand-up comedian. as a homeless person, that's insane.
But you said, was this when you were living with your parents?
No.
Okay, but like, so here's the thing for me.
Yeah.
Is I got the opportunity to live at my parents' house, right?
Yeah.
And in a way, that's free rent, right?
Oh yeah, totally,
I got the
totally.
opportunity to when I was down and out because of my drug addiction.
Yeah.
A friend let me stay on her couch.
Yeah.
Not once, twice, for 9 months each.
Wow.
And so like in effect, like.
Oh yeah, no, you need it. You need help and a handout.
Help,
yeah, of course.
Right.
But what I mean is, here's what I'm getting at. This guy, this homeless guy, my buddy, he slept in a shelter every night. You know what I mean? The city was giving him a bed, right? The city, well, he didn't want to go to a proper shelter, so he would bounce around to these shelters where a lot of times he would sleep in chairs and stuff like that. But it was the fact that he just didn't want to cooperate. He didn't want to go through the system to get something better. Mm-hmm. It was just like he shouldn't have to answer any questions ever. Mm-hmm. He shouldn't have to cooperate with the system. It was this weird idea that he should not have to cooperate with the system. He should just walk in, give a fake name if he wanted to. He didn't even want people to know his last name. You know what I mean?
Right.
He wanted to have some weird situation where he just basically says a first name. In a weird way, after a while, I'm like, is this guy on the run from the law or something? Like, it was a very weird situation in that way. And maybe he was. And so maybe that's the insensitiveness in my outlook.
Well, I think insensitive is like a judgment on you. You're showing up. You're trying to do your best.
The story
right?
never made sense. He's like, I can't get help because I don't have an ID. I don't have any IDs whatsoever. Yeah. And I go, hey man, that's crazy, dude. I'm willing to bet if I go down to a place right now, they will fingerprint you and put you into the system somehow. And he just didn't want to.
Well, maybe he's mentally ill. Some people are lost.
That's true. That's true.
There's a lot of factors.
I sensed a little bit of mental illness in the guy. I really did sense a little bit of mental illness in the guy. But he had.
I like that you. That's so true about like mental illness, right? It's like I sense a little mental illness here.
But he wasn't too far gone, and it was just his bitterness. And I'm an embittered person too in a lot of ways. I'm a grouchy old man in a lot of ways.
Yeah, but you're not.
But also, here's my point: is that like at the end of the day, I realized, no one gives a fuck about me, and I need to give a fuck about me in order to survive. Sure. You know what I mean?
Sure. But did anybody ever, in your story of you giving a fuck about yourself, did anybody ever give a fuck about you to help you give a fuck about yourself? Or did you just always give a fuck about yourself? Does that make sense?
I found in life after a while that if you really just want direction, like, there was a certain time in my life where I kind of just wanted people to tell me what to do a little bit. You know what I mean? I kind of felt down a little bit, but I realized after a while that that's no way to freedom. When
was this?
I guess just different periods in my life, you know what I mean, where I just kind of went with the flow, you know what I mean? Where instead of going out and becoming my idea of myself, I just was like, okay, I work at this job and this is, I'm being told to have this idea of myself.
Yeah.
And then slowly but surely I realized I need to break free from that. You know what I mean? And I need to have my idea of myself. Yeah.
Suffering, maybe not physically, but
And most people want to just be told what to do. And if they don't, and then what happens is the only people that come around for those people are people that want to take advantage of them. Those are like the only people that come around, right? Because if you don't have an idea of yourself, if you don't know your next move, people will just, the people who come around and tell you your next move are going to always be the sharks, right? And what I figured out is who the sharks avoid are the people who have an idea of who they want to be, basically.
Dude, I think that is, 100%. I think that is really the lesson like I had to learn, which was I'm still figuring it out, but like who the fuck am I?
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to how do I get by?
Yeah, and you need to
assert.
You need to assert that, and that's otherwise some employer.
I was a late bloomer, dude.
Yeah, same. Man. Otherwise, certain people will always come to you and say, "Oh, you need an opportunity. Let me tell you who you are, so that I can skim off the top of who I want you to be." And that's everything. That's jobs, that's religion, that's everything. And
it's that truth is crushing to the human spirit, isn't it?
And here's the thing, though, is sometimes, here's the crazy part. Sometimes I'll meet people like this guy, and the tragedy that to me personally, that I felt about Andre was I was telling him that I'm like, you can't just expect you can't expect the system that's going to come to you and tell you what to do to not take advantage of you. Right. Because they're telling you what to do. You're not asking for something better for yourself on your own accord.
Right, but
even
you're
a
reasonable man looking at his situation from the outside.
Yeah.
You're not looking at it from what's his story? You know what I mean? I think that's
something.
Oh yeah, we got noise.
Yeah.
Intruders? Are those fans?
Huh. So let's see. What else did I want to...
And we're back.
We're back. Let's see. What else did I want to talk about here? Yeah, let's talk about this, man. I read about this in The Economist. So in Korea, there's a famous influencer now. Check this out. In Korea, there's a famous influencer now, and she is a AI person. Like, it looks like a human being. Okay?
But she's not real.
Not real. I haven't seen the videos, but apparently from what The Economist was describing, there's this celebrity now in Korea who, she's a woman, but she's not real. It's a AI person, and she's like, in the video, she's like doing stuff. She's like going on adventures. She's like traveling the world.
But it's all fake photos.
It's all just fake. It's all, but it looks real. It looks absolutely real. Ready for this? This AI person. She does meet and greets with fans online and stuff, like just real time.
But wait, how does she do that?
I don't know.
Just through texts?
I have it's just no. It's
she doesn't sit down with people, right? Because she's fake.
So it's like from what I understand, it's like she goes on live. She goes on like Instagram Live or whatever over there
as a talking head, or do people like sit like you and me are sitting next to each other?
Maybe there's somebody who says the voice, who responds into a microphone, and then it like synthesizes through. You know what I mean? I don't know how that works. Yeah. I know they have that thing at Disney World with that turtle from that movie Finding Nemo, where he like talks to people, and it like happens in real time, but it's like somebody standing behind with a microphone. Yeah. The reason I say that is, like, the company that owns this AI woman's likeness, they love it. She brings in millions of dollars. There's never a chance.
How does she bring in money?
From influencing, and so she's an influencer. She's just an online influencer. Yeah. She hawks products and everything like that. And so she's an online influencer. And the other thing the article pointed out is, hey, it's impossible for it to ever get canceled because it's a script. It's always a script. It's impossible for her ever to get canceled. And so, man, I read that, dude. And in a weird way, I realized, I'm like, yeah, they're going to end this actor strike and then just never hire actors soon again. Isn't that wild, dude? They're just going to end it. That's why even more so I'm glad we're doing this. It's like, this is ahead of the curve. Because it's like, dude, you're not going to get a job at Disney. I'm not going to get a job at Disney. What are we going to do? Compete with like just literally an AI...
better
human being, an AI person that's just like some Manchurian candidate.
Me, but 6'2" with a smaller nose.
Dude, you know who doesn't have to go to open mics to get good at this? AI. Yeah, go to open mics and try to beat an AI. Yeah.
AI doesn't have to do open mics.
It doesn't, right? Never, dude.
Which is why
AI
will never win.
AI doesn't have to yell at their parents when they won't pay for improv classes. AI doesn't have to do that.
AI doesn't have to sit through a lottery bucket, Mike, where their name has yet to be called.
Yeah.
Oh.
AI doesn't have to do that, man. AI just knows improv. It just knows stand-up. It just knows the script. And the script might have been written by a human being. So, yeah, I guess there's creative input in there. But even that human being probably wrote it with the help of another AI. But yeah.
I'm going to really appreciate the open mic I go to later.
Yeah, right? Yeah, because that's all you have in the future. Like, literally everyone who's like, don't get me wrong, people still get a following because they'll still want like real stuff and like real personal stuff and everything.
The fact
that, like, as far as just like the hawking, like when it comes to when it comes to just like selling Tide in a commercial, there's not going to be a real human being in the future.
Yeah.
When it's just, they're just like, yeah, you can use Tide this way now in a,
you
in your laundry.
you just get a AI generated.
Yeah, they're not going to hire a human to do that.
And that all makes sense.
Yeah, ever again.
But I think there's an aspect of it isn't, like that makes sense because it's not like I remember like commercials. I don't know what they pay now, but I had some friends that got some fucking
sweet
deals.
Yeah.
Like they showed up for like, a day of work and got like 30 grand, or they got, or even, like back in the day, some national, you get like 100 grand for a commercial. Wow. Yeah. Because it just played. Right.
Yeah.
And, they're an actor, but like, they're not really doing art.
Yeah.
So like if an AI actor sells Tide, it's not like art, right? It is a way to support yourself.
Yeah.
But it's not like, I can't see you fighting for that so much.
Well, that was kind of the bread and butter for a lot of these actors and actresses.
Well, that's the problem.
Kind of makes it not even worth it to be in a union at that point, unless you like get discovered.
Well, I think that's the problem too, because if people can't afford a living and do art, they have to like sell Tide to do it. And there's a lot of people. There's only like,
Oh yeah, dude. In the future, I think it's going to get easier to make content. So it's going to be their part-time job until it's like just not, in that way.
You know what I see more than ever is more famous people doing commercials.
Oh yeah.
Isn't that crazy? They used to just do them in Europe or like China.
That's why you saw all these once streaming came to be, and it was the last days of television. You saw all these A-list people trying to get in television because there's so much money in television if you get to 100 episodes, but it's only on these old contracts. And so that's why you saw people like Alec Baldwin being like, I'll do 30 Rock. Because people like Alec Baldwin saw how rich Danny DeVito is. Danny DeVito had Taxi, and then he came back later for It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And it's like, dude, the guy's a billionaire. He's got to be a billionaire. Like, he's got to be. It's just an insane amount of money with syndication and everything like that. So you guys like Alec Baldwin are like, yeah, I'll take a step down right now just to get that quick payout. Some people got it early on. George Clooney got it early on with ER and stuff. It's good to start in TV. It really is. Back in the day.
I don't know, right? It's like we were talking about on episode 1, I think, where it was like, what would you do if you had $1 billion or something? And I was like, I can't tell you what I would do unless I really had $1 billion.
Yeah.
So I don't know what if I see like if you're a famous actor and like somebody throws you like a couple million to sell whatever. Yeah. Like it might totally make sense.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But when I am, open mic comedian working at a restaurant and I see like a famous actor doing like a Samsung commercial, or whatever the fuck,
Yeah.
It hurts.
Yeah.
Right? Doesn't it? You're like, ooh.
Yeah, that could have been something I could have possibly come up
I mean, maybe that's the root of it, but for me, it's like, it just doesn't, why are they doing that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Got it.
Like, I feel like you don't have to. Yeah. But maybe, I don't know, because I don't understand it, because I've never been in that position.
Yeah.
But like, that one's just like, whenever you see like a prominent star hawking like McDonald's or some shit like that, it's just like this. Because they don't eat McDonald's.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
well, I eat Burger King from time to time, even though I don't eat a lot of fast food.
Right, but you're not a famous actor.
But I still do it for fun, like 3 times a year. And then if I got a chance to do a commercial for Burger King, I'd be excited because that's like my favorite.
Bro,
one.
Are you kidding me? I mean, I strap an apron on and I'm, fake nice guy to people, so they tip me. If somebody said you don't have to go to 4 shifts this week or 5 shifts, just fucking hold this burger and make more money.
Yeah,
I'd be like, okay,
Yeah, but yeah, even though it's famous, I would do. But yeah, it is a phenomenon that used to be.
I just mean it hurts my soul when I see it. Like it just goes, ooh.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm judgmental.
Because you feel it's like a selling out a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like why are they doing that?
Yeah. It takes opportunities away
And
from
maybe
other
there's
people,
something I don't
and
understand.
well, I guess think there's less and less opportunities out there, and there's there's people that are supposed to pay money keep on finding ways to not pay out money, so celebrities
But I
keep on
think
having
that's
to
always
do.
been that way.
More so, I think you're
That's
right. You're
always
right. You're right.
going to be that way. Like
I think it goes through weird periods where people go on strike, and then it gets cleaned up for a minute,
Yeah.
and then it goes
Snake
off the
eating its
rails
tail,
a little
dude.
bit. Yeah,
Snake eating its tail.
It goes back off the rails after a few years, and then it stays that way for a while, and then.
But I think it's good though in the sense that you're forced to create your own thing.
Yes,
which is like if everything was kind of like cool, like you wouldn't really need art, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know what I
does.
mean?
It does the pressure of having to get out of whatever your situation
Or the
is.
suffering
is what drives you, right?
Yeah.
You sit there and you go, hey, I have to gamble because in my case, if I don't gamble, I have to give walking tours for the rest of my life. And in your case, if you don't gamble, you have to be a waiter for the rest of your life.
You know?
Yeah. So you just go, hey, I just don't want to be that.
Yeah.
So I got to roll this bowling ball out there and see if I hit any pins, basically.
100%, dude.
Yeah.
I got to take a leap.
Yeah.
You know, or create, or even though you're like uncomfortable or you don't want to or you're scared.
Yeah.
You know, like, which I think is great. You know, like there's always a silver lining to, you can always kind of find the silver lining in the, in like the oppression.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah. They'll always, it's like, we were talking about last time with the Roald Dahl novels, the idea of, just suffering. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. It's
what was that?
Desirable difficulties.
Desirable difficulties. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the idea that that's actually what, pressure, Chris Rock, pressure creates diamonds. That's
Pressure
why he's
creates
like, to
diamonds.
bring back bowling because pressure creates diamonds. That's a Chris Rock thing. And to bring back bowling because pressure creates diamonds.
Yeah. The,
let's see what else we want to talk about here. Oh, so anyway, let's talk about this. Dude, I thought this was so funny. In mainland China, there's this conspiracy theory that COVID was made in a lab in the United States. And I just think it's hilarious that like they literally have the exact same conspiracy theory just in reverse. Like it really is like 1984. I don't know if you know about that book, but everyone kind of lives in 1984. Everyone lives. It takes place in this like
Big Brother. Big Brother's watching.
Yeah, and it takes place in this continent. I forget which I think in North America, I guess. But everyone is told like, oh, like we're fighting this other continent, and you're just like,
isn't it like Britannia or
something like that? And you're not allowed to go there. You're just not allowed to go there, and you have to stay in your continent and everything like that. But you imagine that like both sides would be just saying the opposite shit like that.
Yeah.
So it's like we're kind of here basically. Where like China is like, oh, COVID was made in a lab in the United States, and in the United States they're like, COVID was made in a lab in China. Yeah. And just the propaganda is basically the exact reverse. It's
doing it for years. But it's wild when you
see it,
when you step outside the matrix or whatever.
When you read 1984 and then you hear this statistic, this thing that's going on, you go, oh my God, that's literally verbatim.
Well,
what happened in the book.
If you talk to somebody that didn't grow up in the United States, their opinion of the United States is different.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
Totally, for sure.
And which is like, oh shit, we're all doing the same thing to each other. Some more successful than others.
Yeah. And all the propaganda is
shady.
Exactly the same, man.
Dude.
Anytime an authoritarian leader comes into power, every other authoritarian wannabe just takes notes, man.
Never has it been more of a free-for-all to influence.
Dude, it's like how
multiple ways.
January 6th happened here, and then the exact same thing happened in Brazil like several months later. Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. The exact same situation too. Is Bolsonaro the president now? And maybe it was the other guy before. I forget which one it was, but it was one of the most recent president. He contested the election just like Trump did, and they stormed the Capitol. Same exact thing happened.
But I think that's another thing why like quiet quitting comes in is nothing's wild anymore.
Yeah.
Right? To be surprised at people doing wild shit is status quo.
Yeah, we do live in an age where all the prophecies have come true. So you just kind of shrug. Isn't that wild too?
Well, we were talking,
there's no like more prophecies anymore. We're just literally like being like, oh, this, in like a year or two, they're going to be like, yes, this is all a simulation. You know what I mean? We're going to be like, oh yeah, wow, that prophecy also came true. Yeah.
It's like saying, I can't believe that guy is an asshole in this situation. And everybody knows that guy's been an asshole. He's been consistently an asshole since you've known him, but yet you're like stunned that he was an asshole again in this situation. Listen to what this asshole said.
You know what's so funny? And it is sort of predictive programming in this way, is that, follow me on this theory, what I'm about to say.
Yes.
Anything that you can think of can exist. And there's a philosophical argument for that, which is that everything is a combination of atoms. So if you can think of anything, theoretically, it's just the right combination of atoms for that thing. So literally anything can exist. It's just the right combination of atoms. It's literally just a combination. You know what I mean? The right mixture, the right stew will make anything, basically.
Right. But how do you like sculpt atoms?
Well, here's the thing: here's the idea: is that it starts first in our imagination, right? So we think somebody writes something in a science fiction book, in a dystopian novel, in something like that, and then oddly enough, we create it afterwards because we think we're supposed to. It's so weird how like these robots now that are being made by Tesla and stuff, they look like the robots from iRobot. And you're like, of course they are. Like that's what we're going to make. So it's kind of strange how you can think of anything, write it down in a book, and then just given enough time, if the book is popular enough, people will just seek that thing out as opposed to all other shit.
Yeah, drop the ball on the hoverboard though from from
Back
to the Future too.
Somebody will at some point. Some dude will just make a hoverboard. Some person will just make the hoverboard his or her life mission, and all of a sudden we'll just have it. It's so wild to think about that.
I think they really almost
they'll just look for the combination, is what I'm saying. Yeah,
right. But I haven't seen a legit hoverboard.
No, but I imagine it's just anti-gravity stuff, and they kind of talk about this stuff that kind of uses energy. Man, there's another weird thing. There's a lot of stuff they know that they purposely don't tell us, and there's kind of stuff they're open about. So follow me on this. Follow me on this.
No, I know that.
Yeah, you can't. Nuclear secrets are nuclear secrets. You can't just go to school to learn nuclear stuff. They literally don't teach it at schools. They literally go, you need to just prove that you're good at science. Then you need to apply for the right job with the government. And then we actually tell you nuclear secrets. They're actually secrets. But here's an even crazier thing, man. Ready for this? This is a wild thing. They've known this since Edison, since Nikola Tesla. What I'm about to tell you, they've known this since that. You don't need wires to send out electricity. You can have a system where electricity comes through the air and people have like a satellite receiver, just like an antenna receiver that captures the electricity through the air and powers your house. They have that technology. The need for wires has never been. They can do that tomorrow. The reason they don't do it is it's then impossible to charge for electricity.
Yeah, sure.
And so what it is everyone, if they did that, everyone would just buy a black market receiver and just tap in instead of paying for it. So they have to have it be a wired system in order to actually charge. But that's wild. Think about how primitive that is compared to what is actually the reality of electricity.
Fiber optic.
The reality of electricity is just an antenna can capture electricity. Yeah. That is the actual reality of electricity. But I mean, we do a caveman's version in order to charge for it. That's wild. Yeah. Think about how many fires happen because of electrical grids. Think about how much nonsense happens in the world because of electrical grids. And since they have the technology to get rid of that, but it's just they can't charge for that. And that it costs money to make electricity, right? That's the whole thing. It costs money to create the Hoover Dam.
It's the same thing for healthcare, which is like every, normal human being is becoming like a country doctor. Like we're like, people have like watches checking their heart rate. People are like learning about
100%.
Stuff because
100%.
The healthcare system you make money off of. Yeah. If you didn't make money,
that's so true.
Isn't
actually,
that crazy? If you didn't make money off the healthcare system, people would just trust their doctors.
Yeah.
And if it was just universal, people wouldn't be like trying to like learn shit.
Well, they probably still would, but, you're right.
But
yeah,
I mean, like,
yeah.
there would be, like, everybody wouldn't be like my friend was telling me about how his watch, like, was tracking his heart rate, and I was just like, dude, why are you doing this?
Want to hear something super interesting based along the lines of what you're saying? Cuba, the country Cuba, has the best, the longest life expectancy in the world.
Okay? I didn't know that.
Yeah. People in Cuba, it's one of the highest. There's certain pockets where people have very long lives, but Cuba overall is one of the. Ready for this? Scotland is the lowest. Scotland is the lowest life expectancy, but Cuba, one of the highest in the world. Now, a big reason for that is this: everyone in Cuba is a doctor. It's a communist country, but everyone there is a doctor. The reason is they don't have land. Everyone has to be smart because your exports are people. If you don't have land that you can dig up for minerals and all that, you have to make sure everyone in your country is smart because you have to export people.
Right.
So if you stay in the country, everyone is basically told to go to medical school. You're more or less, it's just a part of education. Everyone becomes doctors. Wow. If you stay in Cuba to be a doctor, you only earn like $50,000 a year. If you are a doctor or scientist, you only earn like $50,000 a year. If you leave to like Venezuela or a country like that, you get to just earn whatever extra. But then you still owe taxes back to Cuba
because they funded your medical training.
Because you're still a citizen of Cuba. You're still, you're living in a diaspora, a Cuban diaspora in another country and everything like that. So you're still a citizen over there. So, there's some sort of deal where that's how they make money is by exporting people in that way. Now, here's the crazy thing is most people in Cuba, like it says, one of the longest life expectancies in the world, but most people in Cuba never go to see a doctor in their lifetime.
Because they are one.
Because everyone is a doctor. Yeah. So, hey, if you have something wrong, you just ask the guy next to you.
Yeah.
Just literally, if you're not a doctor, 12 offhand. So no one ever goes. So you only go to the doctors when you need to go to a hospital.
I'm going to get
when you need like something serious.
My brother's a doctor. I'm going to get a different opinion.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go to my other brother.
Yeah. If you just need a prescription, all that, you just literally go to a buddy. And everything like that, and you just kind of cut a friend's deal in that way. Yeah,
shit, dude.
In fact, everyone wants tourism. There's two currencies in Cuba. Ready for this? If you work for the state, if you're a doctor or a public worker for the state, you get one currency. If you work in tourism, you get another currency, and that currency is
like
equal
an actual like
different
a dollar
type of money.
bill is a different kind of dollar bill.
Yes, yeah. And that currency is 1-to-1 with the U.S. dollar. The tourism currency is 1-to-1 with the U.S. dollar, usually around there. And the other currency is like way lower.
Right.
So what happens is working in tourism is a privilege. People have to become a doctor, but then they literally work their way out of public service into being a surfboard instructor. Isn't that wild? Because you can earn way more money because you're basically kind of joining the U.S. economy in that way if you become a person who's lucky enough to work in tourism in Cuba.
So why wouldn't you just go? Why would you just
go into tourism?
Yeah.
Maybe some people are allowed to, but I think most people are just told you need to become sort of a science-based person because that's more useful for the country. And then if you are one of the few people who get hired into the tourism sector, congratulations on you. You know what I mean? But I imagine there's a lot of nepotism that goes into it. Isn't that so interesting?
Yeah, that is interesting because it's the reverse. Whereas like it's a step down here.
Yeah. Go and work at a hotel. To go and work
it's like an awakening.
A front desk at a hotel.
I'm tired of operating on people. I just want to teach people how to ride the waves.
I realized this green thing is probably gonna show up.
I love it, dude. You'll have like a magic orb that you're
that I'm drinking out of. It's hilarious. Oh man, what time is it? Yeah, we'll do a little bit more, but we're gonna definitely have to end it soon.
That's bananas, dude.
Isn't that wild, man? Yeah. Different countries work different ways, man.
Different countries work different ways.
That's the truth of it, right?
Everybody, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I'll talk about this. Man, a lot of people are getting fired from tech companies. A lot of people are getting laid off because AI is replacing people in that realm. But what's interesting is, okay, so back in the day, this is going to get wild, but it's going to be very true. Back in the day, everyone had jobs because people could dig ditches for jobs. You know what I'm saying? So if someone had no education, you can just dig a ditch, basically, right? Now machines dig ditches, so you got to be able to kind of work a machine, okay? So there became this sort of situation where really high skilled labor was very valued, and so low skilled labor wasn't needed as much, and so you would get these periods of high unemployment because of that. Now, machines still dig all the ditches, but now what's so interesting is there's all these worlds that are created online by these billionaires, and people have to maintain the worlds. People kind of have to watch the worlds, be like security guards of the worlds. Now, it used to be...
Are you saying the new ditch diggers are programmers?
Well, for a while there, the Guardians were these programmers where it was tough to. But now the AIs are going to do it, and so it's just going to be a person watching it. So we're all going to be like that. Like
security guards.
We're all going to be security guards. We're going to be the person at CVS who goes, yeah, the machines are right over there. And they just, if a problem happens, then they spring into action. Yeah. And they don't even fix the machine. They just notify somebody that the machine's broken. And in the future, probably another machine will come in and fix the machine. Yeah. You know what I mean?
We made this machine to unplug and replug, and now your job's done.
Dude, we're all going to be minimum wage security guards. Some just in more astute situations, so maybe more than minimum wage in that way, but we're all just going to be people that just watch the world happen for us. But there's going to be low unemployment for forever. It's going to be low unemployment for forever because they're going to be like, no, we just need someone to watch it. Like you can make your TikToks while you watch it.
Yeah, but that's also, I feel like the roots. I feel it's the roots of like uprising. You know, like that's when the world ceased to like stimulate. That's when the uprising began.
You know, it's going to be wild though, because it might just be a weird type of.
It's
freedom.
not that far off from now, dude. Right? It's not that. I mean,
there's going to be like no crazy good jobs left in a lot of ways. Everything's going to be super automated, so it's going to be just watching stuff. I guess.
Yeah.
If you're a better watcher than other people, then maybe you know what I think. I think people are already doing it where they're working like from home. They're working like 3 or 4 jobs. I think that's going to be the thing. You're going to be like, oh yeah, I watch this thing and make sure it doesn't burn to the ground online here, and I do that for 3 or 4 different companies, and they each pay me $15,000 a year to do it. Isn't that wild?
It's wild?
And I get it, and I can go anywhere I want. I can travel the world. And if I get a notification on my phone, I step into action.
Yeah.
Not wild.
I don't know if I could do it, but then also, if you can go anywhere in the world and afford to, it doesn't sound that bad.
Yeah. It's going to be all these back-end systems, man. I know for my tours, I have a back-end system that aggregates all of the purchases into it. And because I have this back-end system that aggregates all the purchases into it, I usually work that back-end system. Like when I show up, I bring up the app and everything like that. So what am I doing, man? I'm literally managing this back-end system. There are other people who truly manage the back-end system who are coders and everything. But in the future, AI is going to do that. So those people are just going to be watching on the other side to make sure that nothing happens, that I don't have a problem for my tours whatsoever. But they're just going to be watching it. But you given
the tour can't be replaced by AI, or can it? I mean,
eventually
have to have a robot.
Yeah. Eventually it can. People will just have like a virtual sort of version. Eventually it'll be augmented reality. What they'll do is it will, because eventually what's going to happen
is even go there.
They're going to take their phone and they're going to put it in front of the location that they're at, and the phone's going to tell them all about it and everything like that in real time and give them. Yeah, that's already here. It's augmented reality is that thing. So really just people are going to pay for a live tour guide as a bougie experience, but we're kind of already there in that way, basically. Yeah. Isn't that wild?
That's wild, dude.
Yeah.
And I mean,
and we're always going to be the watchers.
Yeah,
and in a weird way,
take
for me, I own a tour company. Maybe I might take part in that. I might take my brands and create these augmented realities in the future, and then just manage that. You know what I mean? That could be me digitalizing this thing that I do. And the reason people are going to pay attention to me is because I'm the tour guide who knows stuff. So if I'm just the first one to market with these ARs, maybe then I'll be that.
Do you think it? So then I'll take my job as waiting tables. Do you think it works? Because I don't think I can make an accurate critique because I'm obviously biased.
Yeah.
But like, what is your take on when you go to a restaurant that would normally have waiters, but now it's just a QR code and you just order from your phone?
It depends. If it's simple and it's super easy, then I don't really care as much. And so, yeah, man, if that gets normalized and people consider that to be an Instagrammable experience and a bougie experience, then it might actually put waiters and waitresses out of business. Right? Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about. The question is always the philosophical question that you always got to ask yourself is, does the difference make a difference? And so people are always asking that question. You know what I mean? Does the difference make a difference? I know I've worked in tourism for a while, and I know, to give an example, the hop on, hop off buses. Sometimes they have live guides and sometimes they don't. They go back and forth between that. And they're always, weighing that question. You know what I mean? Does the difference make a difference? It depends. I think if you have a good, if you have a good guide, or if you have a good waiter, of course the difference can make a difference, but I think people will only pay for that now when they want that experience.
Yeah.
And it's really going to be, I will say this, it'll make room for only the best of the best. So the only waiter jobs left will be the really good ones. So that's a good thing, right? If you're lucky enough to get a waiter job or a waitress job, it'll be at a high-end restaurant, because that'll be the only places that are allowing for that. And so,
but then is that the death of moving to New York City and getting a waiter job so you could, be an artist?
No, because you're just gonna, like I said, you're gonna sit in the park and watch some.
Oh, you're gonna,
app
you
thing.
just do it. Yeah,
you know what I mean.
You just won't be a waiter.
Yeah, you'll have 4 or 5 jobs, but you're essentially a virtual security guard.
Which I think it's kind of already happened in that respect, right?
Yeah,
people have that kind of
virtual
thing.
Security guard, in that way. It's wild. Yeah, that's the future. Virtual security guards. Yeah. Yay, ready for this? We'll probably get jobs as security guards while doing virtual security guard work. So you'll be sitting there as a security guard in a building doing virtual security guard work. That'll happen. That will actually happen. Yeah, it's wild. Think about it. Yeah. Because it's just going to become so easy with these different softwares to monitor stuff. Everything's going to be like Facebook. It's going to be so just user friendly.
Yeah.
Where the AI takes care of any fixing of the software, and it just notifies you if there's an attack, and the specialty AI needs to come in and almost like restart it or something.
I have faith in the snake eating its own tail, though.
Okay.
I have faith that it's going to be too much.
Well, I think that'll create opportunity
comforts me.
I will say that will level the playing field, right? Because if you get billionaires trying to slash each other's throats, the people who are going to benefit is anyone who can help each billionaire fight the other billionaire.
The billionaire wars?
Yeah, they're going to need an army, man. They really will. Wow, and they're going to look to us common folk.
It's common folk to pick up the...
Oof. Yeah, to fight each other in that way.
Or write their propaganda.
Yeah.